Welcome, everyone. Yeah, as Sindra said, I'm Josina, and I'm from PrEPster. You're going to hear more from me later about the work that I've been doing. But I think it's really fantastic to have more than one woman who's got experience of using PrEP, and thank you so much for talking about your experiences, Haru. I have questions that I can ask as well. I've been doing this work for over a year, and it's really hard to find women who are using PrEP who will talk about their experiences. So, Aneta, I'd like to hear a bit from you so we get some context about what your experiences have been.
I'm an academic teacher working for medical university. So, first of all, I would like to say that. And I was thinking today, because I was kind of late, because I have to teach my students, and they have today the last day of their exams, and I was asking about what they know about PrEP. When they're coming to us on the 4th year of medical academy, they are like, they're about 23 years old, 22 years old, and they are very young. So I ask, what do you know about PrEP? And there's silence. They don't know anything about this. This is amazing. And on the other hand, when I feel, how can you not know about something? They know, some of my students know about Mr. PrEP, would you believe? Girls, which is good. And what is amazing, that I said, don't you think that you should, as a doctor, know about this? And this is our role, about spreading also PrEP around women. Because it's only the message in Poland, my experience is that it's only for gay men, for MSM, which is kind of amazing. But also, you have to think about Poland as a country where in a certain compartment of people, I mean the population, there's sex is all the time taboo. It's a huge taboo. So my experience about, because I'm dealing with PrEP, I'm prescribing PrEP to many men, and there's only, I would say only like 5% of women who are coming for PrEP. And I have to tell you the hilarious story. There was the woman, she was like 45 years old, and she came and she said to our clinic, and she said, I want to go on PrEP. I said, fantastic. How did you know about this? I said, I didn't have sex for 10 years. And suddenly I've got a very young lover, but I'm ashamed to ask him, let's go together to make a checkup for all the STIs. And I said, so how come you come here? I told my friends, and they'd say, he must be infected with HIV. I said, they just envy you. I said, you're right, but at least I can be safe for myself. So this is kind of action women are doing. There's amazing stories around this. I try to teach that it's much easier if you are a sexual worker to be on PrEP than to go each time on PEP, which is also significant. But my experience is that women in Poland doesn't know about PrEP. They cannot see that it could be a safe sex having PrEP. So this is really minimal. What we have to do is to spread the information about it, that there is such a thing like a PrEP. Said, but we're at the beginning, right? At the start.
Very much so. So I know that you said before that you only speak for yourself. You can't speak for all black women and all cis women. And it sounds like you're talking about PrEP in a teaching capacity as well as prescribing. And I'm really curious about, in your very different circumstances, what messaging you feel will work. And also we have a bunch of people who could be considered allies in the room who probably know a few women. So we could definitely ask, for all of you, what can you tangibly do to put PrEP messaging out in your circles as well? So I'm curious, as PrEP users, what do you think will work? Maybe not.
Okay. So I think just making people know that if you're unsure of someone's status, it's probably better to just take PrEP. It's like an easy, short way. In the same way that, I guess, contraceptions were first received and taking the pill was first received, PrEP is going to be taken in the same sort of dynamic. But yeah, it's important to make it aware for people that if you're trying to prevent getting HIV, PrEP is available. And yeah, that's it really, just it's available.
Working with students, which you have to know that in Poland, I don't know like it's in other countries, the medical university is feminized. There's more women than men. And so this is the message to spread around them. And for my experience, for 23 years teaching, first thing in Poland is sex is good. And have a safe sex, really. I mean, this is this kind of conversation that people still, especially women, hiding with this. They can have many partners, and they can have safe sex.
So then, what you're touching on then is that we need to learn from everything that people have been saying here about sex-positive messaging around PrEP, which women also have to deal with a hell of a lot of shame around body image, genital dysphoria, and straight up misogyny often as well. So then what can we take from today perhaps around sex positivity or enhancing enjoyment of sex and pleasure for women? Can you comment on that?
It's really difficult coming from like an African community to talk about sex positive messaging, which you can sort of pass to everyone. Because who is having this conversation with who? It will have to be between peers, because like intergenerationally, there's no way my mom's ever going to tell me sex is good. Like, I want grandkids, but how you make them is magic, basically. So that is how much that stretches. So the cultural acceptability of sex-positive talk, I think we kind of have to take a back stance for African communities especially, and try more community protection talk and how to protect yourself against HIV, how to protect your children against HIV, and use other entry points of health rather than sex positive and body positivity. Because, I don't know, the feminist movement, when they did Free the Nipple, they kind of excluded a lot of Islam women just because they were trying to be too body positive. And I don't want the same thing to happen within sex positive movements.
But you would be surprised, you're saying that in your country, in your community, do you have, I don't know, no, maybe this is not the audience I should ask, but do you have this, I have this feedback from my students. We don't talk to our parents about this. When they're trying to talk about safe sex, they said, no, we've done it on the internet. That's why it was such a positive thing that they just read about Mr. PrEP. He said, have you seen this, right? So this is kind of the spreading message, because most of the children, I mean the youngsters, they already know things before the parents who are from the other generation even touch it. So this is important. Some of the students, and I am asking about different than medical students, they are saying that now it's became a standard for some. If you are starting the new relationship, let's go for testing, right? So let's to be, but you know, this is not a huge percent. That's why spreading, I said about PrEP yesterday, like this. Ask your friends, talk about your parents, about what they think about it. What, with parents? It must be crazy, right? So this is the same problem, really. Why still, when the PrEP starts in Poland, when the discussion about PrEP starts in Poland, we were the group of doctors, we said, can't you see, this is the way how to limit it, the infection, I mean the spreading infection. They don't get it, right? They don't get it that our education about safe sex failed for years. So I think that giving them the chance to read about this, a good experience. There was a fantastic film about people who are on PrEP. Right, the Dutch film. They could see how beneficial is this, and also my friend of mine sitting here, Professor Reziński, he said, this is freedom. This, you don't understand it. This is freedom and safe at the same time.
Okay, thank you. I'm wondering, just as you're talking about the Polish context, which I know very little about, I do know in terms of sex positivity, linked to that was a lot of mobilizing and political activism around abortion rights. So in terms of reproductive and sexual health for women in Poland and sex positivity within that, is there a burgeoning movement? What's changing? What's happening?
Well, Polish people know what's happening. We will know soon because on Sunday we have election, which doesn't look really good, but hope that the right party will win. But because our government is absolutely against any good, I'm calling this good things, right? Freedom, that women could decide about themselves. So this is like the worst situation in Poland for years now, really. So this is against everything. If we are talking about any campaigns, how to prevent STI, there is no such a thing like STIs, right? Okay, everything is blocked. So the situation in Poland is not good.
So that's quite a lot of challenges for women in Poland. I'm wondering, we don't have much time, but I'm wondering if there's questions from the audience, particularly inviting women to speak. But you go for it. If got your hand up.
It's more of a comment more than a question. We've been hearing about Poland and the new legislation which might come in, which would stop Hindu practitioners talking to young children. We have most of the steering committee of this conference is present. We have UNAIDS, we have PrEPster, there's Gus somewhere. Can we do anything whilst we're here in the PrEP in Europe Summit to write a statement, come together, write a statement about this law which might come in and how it would have a negative effect on the people in Poland?
Perhaps not time. Okay. Well, Azimova has just joined us. So I'd like to give you the opportunity to speak about your experiences with PrEP. How are you? Speaking?
No.
You don't speak English? Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. We might need a translator.
We haven't some troubles.
Is there a translator? They might need to join us then.
Thank you.
Yeah, we won't know. Yeah. I'm feeling like this is I don't know how to make this work. Okay. So, welcome Azimova. Welcome. Sorry about this. Yeah, the translator needs to translate. Yeah, that would be helpful. Okay, Azimova Aziza from Tajikistan works for the NGO Guli Surkh. Is that right? Guli Surkh? And is a PrEP user currently. So great if we can hear from you about your experiences.
Good afternoon. My name is Azimova Aziza. I have come from the Republic of Tajikistan. First and foremost, I would like to thank the organizers of this event for a possibility of taking part and taking the floor here.
Thank you for taking the floor here.
Спасибо. И хотели бы вы поделиться с нами вашим опытом, касающимся ДКП.
In your context of Tajikistan.
PrEP, honestly speaking, I myself know nothing about PrEP. It's only today that I have learned about it. I work in the organization that deals with HIV detection in Tajikistan. The population of Tajikistan is more than 10 million. Of that, 11 persons are HIV positive.
Just need to pause, sorry, because catching up. So the population of
То есть вы говорите, что население Таджикистана
Tajikistan is 10 million, and
Да,
HIV
более 10
detection
миллионов.
is more than 10 million. Okay. Can continue.
Да,
Из
продолжайте.
этих
And of that,
более 11 человек
11 persons are HIV persons, HIV people who live with HIV. 11,000, 11 тысяч или только 11? Right now the conversation is in Tajik language. I cannot work from Tajik.
Oh. And yeah, just in case she doesn't have experience with PrEP.
Okay.
That's why, because you asked the question, she doesn't.
Okay.
She doesn't have
Sorry,
experience.
that was
Yeah, sorry.
the misunderstanding. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, do we have any questions from the floor about messaging and cis women around PrEP? Yep.
Добрый день еще раз.
Hello again.
В общем-то, я хотела спросить.
I would like to ask a question.
Была интересная презентация.
There was an interesting presentation made by the Polish ladies, but primarily
О студентах.
you spoke about your students,
Я так понимаю,
and
благодаря вам они
it is due to you that your students spread the information to their future clients.
студенты это
And therefore, as I understand, these students are very much advanced youth. They know how to use the internet, and those are the people with higher education. But you said, you spoke about sex workers, and you said that sex workers can receive PrEP with no problems. Do you have a program in Poland that is aimed at sex workers?
каким образом вы
And how do you inform sex workers about such possibilities?
Я понимаю по-русски, но я не
I
буду
understand
говорить
Russian, but I
по-русски,
cannot speak Russian
потому что это
because
моё
my Russian is a bit rusty.
I will
Поэтому я отвечу на ваш вопрос на английском языке. Нет такой программы для секс-работников, но я сказала, что очень
spread the news that people, that the women working as sex workers, to be safe, can be on PrEP. And there is some women in different places in Warsaw, for example, which are coming for this, but this is still commercial. They have to pay for this. There is now new program that you could be tested for free, but you have to pay for prescription. But in Poland standards, it doesn't cost a lot now when the generics are on, because it's the cost of 120 zlotys per month, which if you compare probably how much they can earn, it's nothing. I'm sorry for this comparison, but you know, the thing is that to be safe, because as you know, I don't know if you know that there is a practice that if there is condomless sex, which some men are insisting on, it's like extra. They have to pay extra money, but they are also an extra risk. So this is the special group that we address this message. If you are working. And
Да, мужчины в курсе вообще.
But do the men know about it?
So this is
Men
my
know about this, must pay for the sex. It's more expensive when this is not
condomless,
safe.
yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
И еще второй вопрос.
And then I have another question. So I have heard
Секс-работники,
that sex, but actually it's not that good with sex workers because they have to pay after all.
У вас вот я смотрю очень много
And
наших украинцев.
there are many Ukrainians here in Poland,
И
as I see.
как
And those are not sex workers, as a rule. Here, the personnel in this hotel, for instance, those are mostly Ukrainian women. And I think there are more Ukrainians working here than Poles. Anyway, in Ukraine, we have war going on, and we do not have normal work, so people leave abroad. Many Ukrainians go to Poland. But I'm talking about women, not about sex workers, but just women who go to Poland. Do they know about PrEP? Because, of course, they have Ukrainian women have relations with Poles. Some of them marry. But do women know about the PrEP program? So is there any program aimed at migrants and migrant workers? Are there any programs earmarked for migrant workers? Because if there are no such programs, then immediately there is this question: what does the Polish population know about PrEP?
In Poland, we don't have free PrEP for anyone. For anyone, not for Polish, not for Ukraine, for anyone. They have to pay now.
Not for migrants coming either.
No. But what I can give you a message about this: we have a lot of patients infected with HIV from Ukraine who are never tested in Ukraine, and they are treated in Poland. This is, if somebody is infected, diagnosed here, but this is not the topic of the subject. Sorry. So there is no free PrEP in Poland. We are fighting for this.
Okay. We thought that we had more time, but now it's been... we have to finish this panel now, unfortunately. So thank you to the panelists. I apologize for my English privilege and not being very good at working a translator. I think speakers of other languages are doing amazing here, because that was very fiddly for me to get my head around. So thank you to all the panelists and all of you.